Hey everybody, welcome to the Hello Road podcast, the first actual video edition. This is ridiculous. My name is Ethan, as it says there right on the screen, right there. And who's next to me?
My name is Paul, as it says right. Oh wait, I'm
You
on
gotta,
this side.
yeah, you gotta do the reverse
There
thing.
we go. Up
There
too
we go.
far. There,
Yeah,
that's down there.
yes. So yeah, we're trying out this
Awesome.
video thing. I feel like we've got some internet connection issues here, but
Maybe.
technology,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I don't know.
crazy. It's crazy what you could do in the world today with all this
Y-
technology.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what you can't do if you see my screen.
Yes.
This is the example of what you can't do.
Yeah, but we kind of get the essence of Paul right now. We sort of see
Yeah.
your face.
You don't want to see me in HD. It's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, in
So,
general, for both of us, this was probably better as an audio podcast, but we'll see how this goes. We'll see how it goes. But I'm actually pretty excited because today we've got it's another Q&A episode, which is going to be
Mhm.
awesome because we got a bunch of questions that we'll provide our questionable answers to.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we've got a few car
Cuz we're
updates.
experts.
We are definitely experts. That is
Mhm.
true. And we have a
We are.
couple car things we can talk about. A couple of our own car projects. Got a little bit of
Yeah.
news there, but I don't know.
Yes.
Do you want to start with that, or do you want to just dive into the questions? Do you got any car updates?
Yeah, I mean, I could do a quick update real fast, because that's always fun. Everybody loves hearing about the trials and tribulations of the Daihatsu. But
Yes.
this past weekend, I installed the control arms that have been sitting in my garage for a year on the car, and it's always interesting, and I'm sure you can attest to this. Whenever you work on an older car, there's kind of that thought in the back of your mind that like something might break and that something is probably not available anymore or gonna completely like brick the whole situation,
Yes.
and like that happens, and like there hasn't been a whole ton of like kind of big repairs I've done to the Daihatsu that have made me think that like that's gonna happen. But like this one, I just like had this feeling like, oh, something's gonna go wrong, but it didn't. It
That's
actually went.
great.
It went good. It went great. It was kind of a bit of a struggle to get the actual parts for the car that fit. I had bought some previously, like last year, and they were completely incorrect for the car. These came from, I think, Lithuania, but there were still good parts. They were like good quality Febby Bilstein parts, which are
Ooh,
good enough
fancy.
for me. Yeah, no, it was seriously good enough for me. So, but I needed to change the control arms ever since I bought the car because one of the ball joints had been collapsed, and
Mm.
so never was able to get the car aligned properly. But installed it, and I've been driving it the last few days. It it feels so good. Like the car feels like, I don't want to say it feels like a new car because it doesn't, but it there's a like a lot of times like if you do a modification to a car, it's like, oh, okay, that's all it does, you know. Or if you make a fix on a car, it's like, okay, well, it's fixed, and it just kind of drives the same. But like, no, this like legit feels a lot better. So I'm really happy with that. So it's got new control arms in it, and I'm gonna be able to get the car aligned. I actually don't know if
Ooh,
it. Yeah, I don't know if it needs to get aligned. Like it tracks straight, everything's all nice and good and tight, and the other thing that I got over the past weekend is I got my I guess it's like a technician's manual. Now that we're on video, I should have brought it over here, but
yes.
it's sitting right there. I see it, but it's a manual that like was owned by a technician at a Daihatsu dealer back in the '90s. So
Yeah.
it's probably, I don't know, where's the damn camera? Like whatever. It's a good read. It's a good like 5 6, I don't know, 9,000 pages. It's long, and it covers everything from like the like if you need to know what color paints to mix to make this particular Daihatsu color chip, like it's in there. It's like, oh, you need this amount of this color, and I was like, what the hell? So it's really cool, and it has all the torque specs. It's wonderful. So, but having that book, I was able to look and I saw all the torque specs. I'm like, okay, so me being the nerd I am, I'm like, okay, this bolt's going to 76, click click. This bolt's going to 54, click click, and I'm just like, yeah, it feels good. So, but alignment specs are in there as well, and I mean, it seems like it's in spec just from my measurements. So cool. it works. So
And nothing fell off, and the car made it there without any
yeah,
to work without any
yeah,
issues and all that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, it's fine. It's all
that's
good.
good.
So good job, Paul. I did something. I
Yay!
mended something. Yay! So yes. So that's my
Well, that's good
my
news
big
because you've
car
been
update.
talking about doing that for ever since I met
Too
you.
long. Yeah, too long. So it just drives so much better now. So we just got a couple more little things to work on the car, and then it's gonna be a real good driver.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so good stuff. Good stuff. Got a
Uh,
book. Got some control arms. It's good.
yes. Well, I haven't done a whole lot with my fleet, mainly just kind of sitting in my yard collecting dust. However, I did make a little bit of progress with the Integra today,
Oh,
actually. Um, I was driving it around, and I got home, and then I couldn't shut the passenger window, and I was like, "Oh crap! What the heck?" I tried both switches, and it still wouldn't shut, and I figured, okay, well, I bought a new car cover for it, so I just put the car cover on it, and just because it rained a little bit today, and I went back out there. And I was like, I still can't figure this out. I'm just going to bring it over to the shop and see if they can figure it out and figure out if there's like a bad motor or something. And on the way to the shop, I realized that the child lock was on. Yes,
oh,
I am that kind of idiot. Yes, it's true.
it
So,
happens to the best of us.
no, it doesn't. It only happens to idiots, complete idiots. I was literally on the way to the shop to have somebody fix this window that it was just a switch that I needed to change. But I guess I haven't really driven the car all that much, and I guess I didn't even know the switch was there. It's on the driver's side, right by the window switches, and I must have just bumped it, and it makes it so that both switches do not work. So yes, that was really stupid of me. So instead of taking it to the shop to have the completely operable window fixed, I ended up bringing it over to the paint shop, and I bought a new bumper for it. They're going to rip off that old crappy bumper. And I had to buy an OEM Acura one because the knockoff ones don't have that embossed Integra. Yeah, so I had to go get an actual Acura bumper from an Acura dealer. It was shipped from like Peoria or something. So that is, I actually brought it to the same shop that painted the Stanza because I thought they did a pretty good job on the Stanza.
Yeah.
And I got it in there. He's like, we're going to paint it today. It'll be ready tomorrow. So they're doing the front bumper. They're going to put a new front bumper on it. They're going to repaint the back bumper because there's a few little scuffs.
Okay.
And then the trim that's just on the outside of the windows, kind of like it's starting to flake off a little bit.
Yep.
So they're going to peel that off, and they're just going to spray that like flat black.
Yeah.
And there's a couple dings. They're going to do paintless dent removal on some of the dings. So I'm hoping that this car is just going to look fantastic when they're done with it. Obviously, it's not perfect, but the paint already looked pretty good. So I guess my only concern is that, they obviously have the original paint code. My concern would be that they're, the age of that paint with new paint, it might not match exactly. So
white's a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, because there's so many different kinds of white. But
just things fading over time too,
Yeah.
and like in the white's color, white will actually kind of like yellow a bit over time, and that's where a really really good paint shop will like be able to make those adjustments on the fly as they're mixing the paint. Like, oh, I need to do this, and then it'll be dead on. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect it to be perfect because actually, it's from the factory. It's not even perfect. Or at least my car, the whites are slightly different. I'm just hoping they're not like drastically different with the new paint.
Right.
But and I didn't really want to have them like try to fade it into the old paint. That seems like a challenge too.
Yeah.
But it's gonna look better because it's not gonna have that big crack in the bumper anymore. Yeah. So it's one of those things where now that the car is getting all fixed up, like, should I keep this car? I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess I need to do a little poll. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, that's cool. That's awesome that you're going to get that done on the Integra. Yeah, I mean, as for keeping it, do a poll for sure. But just we've got this new Integra coming up pretty soon, and there's going to be a lot of people looking to nostalgia, and they're going to be looking for these things. And even though
Yeah,
it's not a Type R or a GSR, people are going to be like, man, I really miss my Integra. And
totally. Yeah,
might be the time to let it sail on to the next
sure.
owner.
I
So.
mean, I had bought it to flip it, and that this is like the
Right.
longest, most arduous flip ever. But yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Might sell it. Not sure.
Okay.
All right. So
Cool.
I think that's the extent of my updates, other than
Yeah.
like just looking at my cars every once in a while, kind of sadly, thinking
Right.
that I should drive them more frequently. That's the stupidest thing about having multiple cars, is that there's just not enough time in the day to drive them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I can't imagine how it is. I mean, I sit there and like I go a week or two without driving the Daihatsu, and I'm like, okay, I gotta
Yeah.
take the Daihatsu out, and it's like, man, what if I had like 6 or 7 Daihatsus? Like, I'd be like,
it would be so awful. The thing is, I don't even realize how long it has been between drives until I like really think about it. And what I really should do is I should keep a little chart and just mark down the days that I actually drive these cars, because
Right.
I had realized the last time that I drove the Nova twin cam was to Radwood, NorCal. So that was like
Whoa.
July. I hadn't driven the
Yeah.
car in almost 6 months. I mean, I started up and drive it around my yard, just to keep it going. But I put some new gas in
take
it.
it out.
Yeah. Oh,
Sure.
actually, that's the other thing. I actually did bring the Nova over to another shop to have them work on lots of stuff. They're going to wheel bearings, because that was the problem coming back from that Radwood show. That's why I haven't been driving it. Wheel bearings are
Right.
they're totally shot. I'm going to have them do a timing belt, because it's an interference engine, and I have no idea when that was done.
Okay.
Idle air control valve, because it idles high. There's a few other things. What else? Oh, brakes. I bought Hawk pads for it. I got some Hawk HPS.
Oh.
And I got some really
Okay,
nice,
yeah, those are good.
nice rotors. I got some kind of shittier brake pads for the rears, because the rears don't really do anything in that car.
Right.
So I'm kind of on the way to making it a little bit more fun, I think.
Yeah,
And then
totally.
once they get all that kind of stuff done, then I might consider. I don't know. It sounds weird, because this car I want to keep it as original as possible, but I am kind of toying with the idea of coilovers for it, because it leans so much in the turns.
Yeah.
And just keeping the original parts, off to the side.
Yeah,
I can always put them back
as long
in.
as you sure can. No,
Yeah.
yeah, there's it's not like a permanent modification to be doing.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's all great for the twin cam, because it's going to give you the peace of mind with getting the timing belt changed, and and then just doing like the Hawk, even the HPS brake pads. Those are I've used those before, and they're a pretty decent step up over
Sure.
like a stock brake pad. So
Oh, and I think I've mentioned this before. I literally put $5 brake pads in it. They barely work at all.
from Rock Auto, right?
Yes.
The ones that are in the economy
They're
section.
so
it's like,
garbage.
$3.99. I'll take 2.
I remember there was one time I was going on a drive on Angeles Crest Highway, and there was I think it was a C7 Corvette in front of me. We were all kind of driving together, and then they just slammed on their brakes, and I'm like, oh no. And he actually he kind of like let off a little bit, because he saw me like coming towards him. He's like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that you just can't stop, can you? I'm like, no.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. So that car's gonna get kind of all fixed
Cool.
up. I'm hoping.
And that's your favorite one of the
I
fleet,
love it.
isn't it?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's good. That's awesome that it's getting some love. So
For sure.
cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
Project
lot of fun. I can't
cars.
wait. I can't wait to see how the Integra comes out, and I can't wait to hear your reaction to how the twin cam stops with those Hawk brake pads. I'm
Yes.
sure it's going to be.
And I got new tires for the YJ finally. I'm actually making progress on 3 cars this week. It's ridiculous. It's been like a drought of like 6 months of working on stuff, and then all of a sudden like making stuff happen. Anyway,
it's the new year.
it's the new year, new us. Yes, exactly.
It's 13 days into the year. This is our second podcast of the year.
How is that possible?
Determination.
Yes. Well, should we dive into some Q&A stuff, since this is supposed to be a Q&A episode? I think we could.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We got some great questions. I'm excited.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go in order that I collected the questions. So this is from Wookie Automoto TV. We follow each other on Twitter. His question is help. That's what he starts with. Help. He needs our help. Hello Road podcast to the rescue, I think. I'm looking at
Yes.
Ford Freestyles online. Next question? No. Okay, we can answer this one. I'm looking at Ford Freestyles online. Is it bad I want a mid 2000s NPC wagon? Inside they're so big. So maybe I'm old. I don't know what NPC means. Am I just an idiot? What does NPC mean? Is that like some
non parts car? I'm not sure.
Not a piece of crap wagon? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Not a piece of crap wagon.
I feel like there's something I'm missing here because I'm too old to understand this reference. It's probably something really simple, but if you know, just shout at us because I have no idea what it means. So, Ford Freestyle, what do you think? What do you think, Ford Freestyle?
Yeah, no, go ahead. You go first. There she is.
I don't really have much to say about the Ford Freestyle, other than I kind of low key like them. I mean, the idea that it was one of the, I don't know if it really sold that well, but it's kind of
it didn't.
It's kind of like a good shape for a car. It's pretty boxy. It seems like there's they didn't really go overboard with the styling. I do like the first gen a little bit better. It's kind of a little simpler. It looks a little frumpy, but the second gen with the big 3-bar grill, it's not as nice looking. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. So there, it's an interesting car, and it's an interesting time. You talk about like mid 2000s, like big wagons, right? And
yeah,
it's specifically the Freestyle. I don't think it's too terrible. It's based on the Taurus because Ford came out with a car called the Ford 500, which then got rebadged as like, it's just gonna call it the Taurus.
Yes.
And then they came out with the Freestyle, which was like a lifted Taurus wagon. So it's almost like the Subaru Outback of it, but not really an Outback.
Yes.
But so this is kind of interesting because it's utilizing some of my knowledge from back in working at the CarMax back in the day, and mid 2000s Fords like this, there's not, the cool thing about them is there's not a lot of tech that's going to go wrong in them like you see in some of the things. Like I think what you're talking about, you're talking about the Flex. That's the one that comes after this.
Yes.
It's like more of the long wagon.
Yep.
Which are cool, and they're basically the same car. They're just longer, and I think they eventually put those EcoBoost V6s in them. But
yeah, for sure.
If you're looking at something mid 2000s, that's kind of a sweet spot because there's, like I said, there's not a lot of tech to go wrong. It's before like all sorts of different safety additions were put onto the car, which can be a trade-off if you want to have lane keep and all that stuff. It doesn't have that. The only downside to these that I remember from good old CarMax days is if there's some interior bit on a used one, if you go and you look for a used one and you buy it that's broken, Ford's probably discontinued it because Ford discontinues parts like that's like one of their favorite things to do. You really don't see a lot of these things though. They didn't sell well. I don't think they sold them for very long. Yeah, I just saw it right there, 2004 to 2007. So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it just depends. I'm not sure.
Yeah, 2005 to 2009. There you go. Yep.
Yeah. Ford Taurus X. That's what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was, and then it changed to the Freestyle.
Yep.
But they just weren't very popular, at least in Southern California. You didn't see a whole lot of them. You saw a lot of Explorers and stuff rolling around that time, but maybe in other parts of the country they were a bit more popular.
Here you go. So, here's some sales. Here's some sales figures. Yeah, I mean their best year 2005, 76,000, which that's not. But they kind of just really fell off a cliff after that.
Yeah.
Yep.
They pulled an FRS on everybody, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
No, I mean they're fine, they're good. This is before turbocharged Fords were a thing, so that's less complications to deal with. There's other.
I have heard about the transmissions, and I don't know if they're any more unreliable than other, cars from this era. But I just remember reading about the transmissions on this vehicle being an issue, like basically made out of glass and chewing gum, and they'll completely grenade themselves. But I don't know if that was the CVT.
Did it have a CVT in it? If it had a CVT, then that's a different story because that's probably like one of those early CVTs, and those can be very frightening.
Yes. But yeah,
look at it. There it is.
it's not so bad. I mean,
No,
it's fine.
it's like a
as
Ford
a
badge
beater.
Subaru Outback.
There you go.
Oh yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Ford badge Subaru Outback. That's what it looks like. I don't know if they offered it in all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive or whatever you want to call it, but I'm sure they did.
This looks like might be all-wheel drive. Let's see.
Yeah.
All-wheel drive. Yes, it did. Came with all-wheel drive. Look at that.
WD. There she is, right there.
Yeah.
In that fine shade of beige. Look at that.
It's a Camry beige.
You can kind of paint those wheel arches and make it look like an Audi Allroad.
Yeah,
Just
totally.
Trick your friends, trick your neighbors. It kind of looks like an Audi Allroad.
Yeah, kind of make it look a little bit more rugged.
There you go. Just take the badge off and put an Audi badge on it. You're fine. It's the same.
So I guess the answer to that question is, get one, and if the transmission breaks, don't blame us.
Don't blame us. Don't buy a CVT one if there's not. Maybe there.
There's others that
they
are
were all
not.
Okay, yeah. Don't buy a CVT one.
All right.
That's the general rule of thumb. Don't never buy a CVT.
Yes.
But a lot of times unavoidable.
Okay, so Brad Hansen Media, Brad Hansen, who's been on the show a couple times, and actually he's going to be on the show next week. We're going to be talking about worst decade for cars. One of our previous episodes, which you should definitely listen to, which is our opinion on the best decade for cars. We're going to follow that up a year later. But yeah, he's going to be on the show. So he asked a question about something that I'm working on. He says, I'm curious to know more about the new studio you're setting up in your garage. So right now, I don't really have much of a nice background. It's just a guest room we have here in the house. I have some music here and here and a bunch of garbage because we're cleaning out the garage. So the idea is I'm going to completely clear out the garage. I'm going to use one whole bay of a 3-car garage to turn into a little podcast recording studio and a YouTube studio so I can do live videos and live podcasts. So speaking of, if you haven't already subscribed to the new Hello Road podcast YouTube channel, you should do that. Just go to helloroad.tv/podcast and subscribe. I think we're up to 35 subscribers, which is great, but we need to get to 1,000, which I think is doable within the next couple months. If we get to 1,000, we can actually start streaming these live on YouTube. So that would be awesome to be able to do that.
So cool.
So if you got a minute, go over there and subscribe. It would really help us out. Also, if you want to help us out even more, leave a comment or a review on Apple Podcasts because that helps more people see this show. Oh, so enough of that crap.
Yes.
Anyway, it's gonna be awesome. There's gonna be permanent light set up. Cameras are gonna be permanently set up, so it should just be really easy to record live shows and record podcasts and stuff. And once we can finally meet in person again and not have to wear like 75 layers of N95 masks, there'll be a nice permanent setup for guests to come in and hang out, and there'll even be a fridge for beer. Come join us.
Be wonderful.
So yeah, that's what I'm working on. And right now there's just drywall and plywood and mountains and mountains of rat poop. There's so much rat poop. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I saw that. Good times.
Yes, it's great.
Yeah.
I am wearing a mask because I don't want to get whatever diseases rats carry.
Huntavirus.
Huntavirus, that's what it is. I couldn't remember.
That's what it is. Yes,
So,
Huntavirus.
So that's the update on this. It's going to be cool. And then you'll have to come over, Paul, at some point when we're...
oh, yes.
Yeah, when we're doing in-person.
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right.
I'll be there every week. It'll be wonderful. It's going to be great.
Sweet.
Cannot wait.
Analog Smog asks, I'd be interested to hear your takes. What barn find car worth around $5,000 or less in running shape would you be most excited to find? And then a bonus question, what barn find car would you be least excited to find? So, Paul, do you have an idea of what you'd go for this one?
Oh, I mean, we all know I love almost anything that's, small and silly with a manual transmission. So, yeah, under $5,000, I mean, find me,
Mitsubishi Mirage?
Yeah, sure, why not? That'd be cool too. No, honestly, like there could be so many cars for like what would be my favorite to find, but I mean, I would just obviously squeal with joy if there's like some like sub 30,000 mile charade hidden in somebody's barn under a pile of filth and huntavirus filled rat poop and stuff like that. But like it just fires right up. Not that would happen, but like that would be awesome. That would be so cool. I would love that. That would make me the most happy. So there they are. Look at
There
them.
they are. Look at these cute
I'm
little adorable
one of
things.
my goals in life. That's so sad that one of them is like one of the junkyard pictures.
Oh, I know. It's like
Is to get mine on like one of the first pages for searching for these things.
oh yeah,
Like
we can make that
that would
happen
be. Yeah,
because
we'll make that happen.
yeah, we could totally make that happen. Once we make a video with your car, which I've been meaning, I've wanted to do that forever. But once we finally do that, I guarantee it's going to be on the first page of the images here. We'll make it happen.
The Googles, it's going to happen.
Yep.
No, that would be like my obviously my favorite thing to find. Probably my least favorite thing to find would, and you know, because I'm not really a huge fan of this era of cars. Would just even if it was in really good shape, I don't know, would be like. You're gonna hate me. A lot of people are gonna hate me. Like some sort of like Malaise era, like just big land yacht boat, like automatic, a front wheel drive, transversely opposed V8.
Sure. I mean, what about like a 78 Park Avenue or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, you know what? Actually, is like really bad. Is like the Dodge. Screw that. I actually kind of like the Park Avenue. How about the Dodge St. Regis? This is probably.
Don't even know what the hell that is.
It's just garbage.
Yeah, something
it's just
like that.
Garbage.
If I see that, I'd be like, guys, we found this barn find. I'm happy I found a barn find, but this is unfortunately what it is.
I mean, I will say I do like the little headlight covers. That's pretty cool. I don't know. Yeah, I can always find cool. Even the most garbage cars. I'll still find something that I like about them.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is I probably would find okay, so we're pulling out the barn find, this Dodge St. Regis, and I'm like all pissed off because I was, whatever. And I'd probably find something endearing about it that I ended up liking, like, yeah, you know what, it is actually kind of, you know what, I kind of do like driving it. It's hard to figure out something I wouldn't like, because like even if you said like, a Ford Pinto, I'd be like, hell yeah, like I'll take a Pinto.
Yeah, totally.
I like garbage, so.
As do I. I mean, I don't know. It would have to be, maybe it's like, yeah, I there would be a few cars that I would not be excited to find. So this was a tough question. Right. I mean, I didn't spend a ton of time thinking about this because I really just like this platform because I have a car that is already on this platform. So it would basically be just the Toyota version of my Nova Twin Cam. It would be the Corolla FX16 GTS.
Oh.
And this is a car that you can still occasionally find for under $5,000. I saw one Northern California not too long ago for like $3,000. It was in rough shape.
Right.
But this is just a cool little car. It's basically a two-door hatchback version of my Twin Cam.
Yeah, they're so freaking cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
And it's just mechanically identical. I could, and I think that would be kind of nice to have a couple cars that are just mechanically identical that look a little different. That makes it so I can understand that platform.
Yeah, no, totally.
I would totally like one of these if I can find them, but they're just really, really hard to find now.
Yeah, but they are super cool. I love those things. So what would you be not excited to find? Oh, I already see it.
So when I was a kid, I remember absolutely hating the Ford Maverick. We're talking about the original 1970s Ford Maverick. I just remember thinking that, let's look at the taillights on this thing. It just looked like they took, like Ford Econoline taillights and just turned them sideways. There's just so much about. I think they did. I think you're right. There's so much about this design. It's like their smaller car from the 70s.
Yeah.
I just hated it, and I this might be a preview to the worst decade for cars because I'm just going to give you a little spoiler. It's probably going to be somewhere in the 70s for me, because I just remember being a kid from the 80s and 90s, just thinking that the cars from the 70s just all looked like garbage. Today, I don't think that anymore, but back in the day, I just really, really, really hated the Maverick.
Interesting. I think it's nice. I wouldn't be sad if I found one. I would. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like because it was between the Pinto and the Mustang, right? That's where the Maverick sat.
In the lineup so. Yeah, it was like a little bit bigger than the Pinto. They kind of gave it a sporty-ish shape, but then those taillights, like, what were they thinking? I don't know. I've never really been a huge fan of 70s car design.
Okay. Yeah.
And a lot of the ones that I used to see were like the really like low end ones with the, you know, actually that's a scale one. That's kind of cool. Like this, like this right here, like just that.
Sure.
Ugh, I don't know. Can't get
Just
into it.
that's the
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm one to talk, but like the super sunken rear wheels and stuff. It just looks low rent. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
So Maverick,
eh,
I would
Maverick.
still maybe be somewhat excited. No, actually, I wouldn't. I would not be excited about a Ford Maverick. I'm sorry. And if there's any Ford Maverick fans out there, sorry, I think it's garbage. Anyway,
Yeah. All
so
right.
let's see what else
That
we
was
have
fun.
here. Yeah, the Blue XB asks, could y'all touch on the Ford chassis cab that sold on Bring a Trailer for big money? Yes, we should talk about that. What do you think about that? Because you've been on Bring a Trailer
Yeah.
recently, looking at that
Oh
Daihatsu.
yes, yes.
Got sold for
That
like
Daihatsu,
$7,000
that
or something. Oh,
$7,500.
jeez,
Yeah,
jeez.
it got crazy. The last 5 minutes of that auction, like any of the auctions, there got pretty nuts, and that's probably a lot similar to what happened with this particular Ford that they asked about, and I think that I looked the truck up and I didn't know about it at the time, so I actually looked it up and it was like it sold for $55,000. It was a
Yes.
6,000 mile or not not
Yeah,
E
yeah,
F
F350. Yeah.
F350, but it's the from what it looks like from the description, it was going to become a fire truck or some sort of a fire support vehicle. It just never got used and just got driven around as it was. Yeah,
Yep.
there she is right there. But
Yep.
I think the big allure with this thing, 5,500, 500.
Yes.
And I mean, you owned one of these that had the infamous 7.3 Ford
Sure.
turbo diesel in it, which
Yep.
is apparently like you can take the motor out and shoot a mortar at it with a tank and put it back in the truck and it'll start up. That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that was part of it. And like I know there was arguments about like, oh, it was like somebody did the math, like it's only $560 more and they could have bought a brand new version of it. But this thing also has a 6-speed manual transmission, which
Mm-hmm.
in a diesel isn't necessarily like something it's fun and interesting and different, but it's not like driving a a sports car with a manual transmission. It's a little different. It's still interesting, but it's fun. But yeah, I you know I think a lot of people want to buy something from Bring a Trailer because there's this invisible like badge that you get that says I bought something from Bring a Trailer now, and it's not a bad thing because like hell, I was really wanting to buy that Daihatsu, but I was way the hell over my price. But I
Sure.
think that's what a lot of people have, this mentality and this like thought of getting this invisible badge, like I bought something on Bring a Trailer. Um,
Yeah.
do I think it's a good buy for this truck? I think it is. I actually do
What?
because it has no miles. No, it has no miles on it.
That's true.
It's 22 years old.
Yeah.
It has the best. It has a great engine. It has a transmission that's not gonna fail, theoretically. And it's a blank canvas. But you have to have money to. It's
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
Let me hear
See.
your thoughts.
No, I see where you're going with that. I mean, obviously, there's these low mile examples seem to do really well in Bring a Trailer. That seems, for whatever reason, having no miles, people just get so excited about it.
It's
And
kind of scary though.
well, and I don't really understand, because it's not like any of these things are a good investment,
No,
long
it's
term.
not.
Like this is not going to be a collectible. This isn't a collectible. Um, there, I don't know if whoever bought it is going to use it as a work truck. It seems like maybe I mean, what else would you use it for other than like just put it in your collection to look at it and say, hey, I bought this on Bring a Trailer for $55,000 because I've got a lot of money. I don't know, because it seems like there is. Well, actually, let me just back up for a second. So I had a 2000. Actually, I had a 2001 or was it 2000? I can't remember. I think it might have been a 2001 F250 crew cab, 4x4 7.3 liter truck. It was not a dually like this one, and it was not a manual like this one, and also had 130 30,000 miles or something like that. And I sold that for 13.5, maybe 2 years ago or something. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago. So
Yes.
yeah,
And
that's the other thing too. Diesels, like especially this year or these things, I don't know what the exact cutoff is, but like there's that whole DEF fluid thing.
yes.
And if you're a diesel aficionado or into it, like you basically don't really want a truck that uses the DEF fluid, and this doesn't,
Yeah.
and it has such low mileage that it could be very appealing to somebody who's actually looking for a truck like this, and they're like, well, I'll pay, that amount of money if I get something with that low of mileage, and the world is my oyster for the back, and I don't have to put DEF fluid in it, and it's got the 7.3. So I think that's why it went for as much as it did.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
also, but
it's also the big bring a trailer like excitement factor at the end of the auction,
Yeah.
because like really in terms of what you get, you're getting low miles. I mean, just look at this. You're looking at there's nothing on the back. You don't even get power windows. It's crank windows.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it has air conditioning. It's rubber floors, vinyl seats.
Vinyl seat. Yep.
Actually, if there's any other. Okay, it does have a stereo. There you go. It's got a stereo.
It's got the controls for the AC, but my dad has a Ranger that's like super low spec like this.
Mm-hmm.
And he has got the controls for the AC, but there's no AC. It just has a heater in it. So
Okay, interesting.
It may have that. So
I will say,
yeah, it's got nothing on it.
I will say this about the 7.3, and I'm not a diesel motor specialist or expert. I like the 7.3 in the fact that I knew it was going to last forever. They generally are really reliable, but they're also very low power. It's got a lot of torque, but like the horsepower is quite low, and they're not fast. They don't feel powerful. They feel slow. They're super loud. Not as loud as the older like IDI 7.3s, but they're super loud. They're super polluting. That was one of the things I didn't like about driving my 7.3 is that it just constantly smelled like diesel. Even if your windows were shut, you just constantly smelled like
smell it.
Yeah. Or just not even diesel fuel, just like diesel exhaust.
The exhaust, yeah. That's what the DEF fluid fixed. That's when they put that in there. Yeah. All that's gone now, and all the newer diesels from whatever it is, 2010 and up or 2012 and up, that all have that system in it. So
and it's I will say towing with the 7.3. I towed a Liam Nissan in the enclosed trailer plus all of our tools and stuff, and I had never weighed the trailer, but I estimated it to be like, I don't know, 8,000, 8,500 pounds or something with everything in it. May not have been that much, but it was a lot. And it's just, it's just going up the Grapevine, which is the 5 freeway that goes over the mountains from basically LA into Bakersfield area. It just struggled, like,
oh, okay.
It could do it, but I could never go faster than like 40 miles an hour up that hill. Like, again, 7.3, good motor. Obviously, there's a lot of mods you can do to it. You can get more power. You can kind of make it a little bit easier to get up something like that. And obviously, I had a little bit of a lift on my car, so that obviously sapped some horsepower as well. But again, I much preferred my crap ass 2004 Nissan Titan that got 8 miles per gallon towing, and I could just same trailer, same everything else. I could just blast up the Grapevine in that gas-powered Titan, Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like this is not a good buy. I would say, I feel like somebody wasted a lot of money on this truck. Again, 7.3 is a good motor. I just don't feel like it's like, it's been elevated to this status that it's a little bit higher than it actually deserves, I think.
The pedestal is not, what it is.
Yes.
Everybody cracks it up to be.
To me, this is I don't really care about the low miles because these can go 500,000, 700,000 miles anyway. So what the hell is the point if this, it's like you're not really only having 6,000 miles on it actually seems like a detriment to the fact that this thing hasn't been driven.
Right.
To me, this is like a $20,000 truck, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, given car prices now, I can see that's kind of stupidly
totally
low. But
I mean, the one thing I didn't look at was like the last, because you can usually see like all the bids on the comment section, like how crazy it got. Like
Yes.
from, if it's any indicator from like, I think if you have it up, pull it down and let's
Yeah.
see, because like it probably hovered around $20,000 for the longest time, and then it just turned into a, you can see it
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. If you go down a little bit
we've all
further.
followed bids.
Yes,
We've all
exactly.
followed the bids, and it's just like, oh okay, and it keeps refreshing every like every
Yeah.
time somebody puts a bid in there. So
Well, and it was at 47,005 for a while, and then somebody did a power bid of 55. A
yeah,
couple hours later, they're just like
that's
they wanted it.
they
They just
wanted it.
wanted it.
So like it was at
Power bid.
47.5, and then power bid. Yeah. So that kind of thing happens. It would have been a better buy at 47.5, I think. But I mean, I still think for what you get and everything like that, and for with the low mileage, which like you said, isn't really, it's a detriment to the truck. It was owned for what it sounds like by a fire department, and they probably took it out every week or something, or every
Yeah,
other
I
week to go
guess.
grab dinner or something back at the station. It sounds like it's just a surplus
It just
truck that got
seems.
ordered by a county or a city.
Yeah, it just seems so weird to have a truck like this and not utilize it as a truck. I mean, it's very weird.
Yeah,
Very strange.
yeah.
Anyway, so
All
that's
right,
our take on that. We disagreed on that one. That's okay. We can disagree occasionally.
that's fine.
Chris Green Car, he asks, what got you interested in old cars? Why don't you start this one off, Paul?
I got interested in old cars because the first car I was interested in was already an old car, and
Yes.
I think that's kind of what kicked it all off for me was being into the Volkswagen Beetle that my family owned when I was born, and still own to this day, because it was already an old car. It was already a 11-year-old car by the time I came around. But a Beetle is kind of timeless, because like they didn't change the look of that car from like the late 1930s to actually 2003, when they stopped producing them down in Mexico.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it kind of was always there. So there was always that mentality, and then like just the adolescent, growing up in adolescence and stuff, it's always like, oh, I want a V8, I want a V8. So it was like, oh, I want a Mustang, I want to do this, muscle cars and stuff. I got into that, and then everything kind of shifted for me, and I still was kind of into old cars a bit, and yeah, I, I I like old cars. I think that the thing that gets me is like driving something like my Charade, is like everything is just so analog, and you don't experience that, like not even in my like kind of basic commuter car Honda Fit. It's like there's
Yeah.
still like modern bells and whistles and power, electronic this, and it's just the rawness is I think what, even if it's like a Bug or a Volkswagen Beetle, it's like that rawness is there, and that's something you don't experience with a new car.
Yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah, that's. I mean, you've talked at length about the Bug in past episodes. So that's I mean, you have also the whole nostalgia of like Herbie the Love Bug and all that stuff that you
yep.
talked about too.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess for me it would be well, my first few cars were just old. I just got hand-me-down cars, which was awesome. I mean, I can't complain about a free
Yeah.
car. My first
Right.
car was an '83 Ford Econoline with a 3 on the tree, and that was. I just like the fact that I had any car, and I like the
Yeah.
fact that I could beat on it, and I didn't really have to worry too much about. It was already just kind of a piece of crap. So that's probably what got me into crappy cars, because my first car was a piece of crap. I
Right.
used to drive over curbs. I used to, do all sorts of crazy stuff in that van. I used to race people in that van. It was stupid. It was stupid. I did the stupidest things in that van, and I'm surprised that I made it out of high school. Um, oh, it was awesome. I love that van. Uh,
You
and
just
then,
see 16-year-old Ethan hanging out the window. Hey man, you want to go?
oh,
The hell you're driving?
I
You're driving an Econoline, man.
I
Let's
remember,
go.
and a lot of my friends had
Thanks.
crappy cars too. Somebody I knew in high school, she had like a '78 Ford. What was it called? It wasn't a Mercury Monarch. It was the Ford version. Why am I spacing on what the Ford version of the Monarch was? Oh my god, I feel so dumb that I can't figure that out right now. But it was the Ford
Right.
version of the Mercury Monarch. somebody that's listening is yelling it out right now because I can't get it in my head.
Right.
Anyway, I remember driving my brown rusty Ford Econoline. We were just driving home from school one day, and I just was like, I'm going to race her. So I just passed her on the left on a no passing zone. It was a little small town. There was no other cars. However, I finished passing her, got over to the right, and I, just like stupid thing, it wasn't that hard for me to, actually it was kind of hard for my van to pass that car. But then as soon as I passed her, the one cop that we had in that town pulled me over. There was one cop in that town, and I just got a warning. Like he's just saw me pass. What? I went over double yellow, like speeding, passing my friend, and I immediately after he's like, "You better just slow down." I forget what he said, but it was just small town kind of stupidness. Anyway,
gave you a warning for the super dangerous.
Oh God! In a van where I just had lap belts. It wasn't like safe at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, that van was awesome. I have a lot of good stories with that van. My second car was a '78 Malibu with a 4-speed. We've talked about this before on the podcast. Mm-hmm. Just again, I think I just got the bug from an early age, just because that's what I had. And then as I got older, when I actually could afford things, I felt like, well, I'm going to buy new cars. I'm going to buy or newer cars. I remember the day that I bought my 99 Maxima. It was like the newest car I had ever gotten. And and I only had it for like a year. It was a good car. I loved that car, and I kind of regretted selling it. But at the same time, it just didn't give me as much excitement. I like the weird quirks and the vibe of just owning something that's been around for a while.
Right.
That other people have owned and that other people have stories. It just seems like there's more stories that are just like soaked up into the metal,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I dug about it. And then like fast forward to today, honestly, it's nearly entirely nostalgia. And I fully admit that it's just, I have good memories of childhood and seeing some of these cars and just seeing them, and I get excited about seeing something that I last saw when I was like 12,
Right. Totally.
And that that there's not very many of them left, especially the vehicles that most of them are, like Econoboxes, like most charades have been crushed by now,
Yeah, they're all gone.
So that's kind of what I get excited about. I'm excited about just the seeing those cars that just for whatever reason survived. And and it's funny too, because I actually back in the early 2000s I bought a 66 Skylark, which was cool, and it was nice to like try to work on an old car.
Right.
And I liked that process of like trying to figure it out. I was pretty stupid. I didn't really do a good job of like fixing the car. But I never like entirely connected to the cars from that era. Just because I think it was just a little bit too before my time. It felt like I was connecting to somebody else's childhood. I was connecting to somebody else's memories, So that's why that's why I'm sort of just kind of stuck in like cars from the 80s and 90s, just because that's what I have the highest amount of nostalgia for.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to think about it, being stuck in somebody else's, memories when it comes to something from like the 60s and stuff. I'm just playing that through in my head right now, thinking about, my Volkswagen and stuff like, my dad kind of showed me everything about the car, how to fix it, and like rebuilt the motor and everything. It's like, well, he knew all that because he learned, maybe from his dad, and it's just like, what the hell? It's one of those epiphany moments, like, live on our show right now.
So there you go.
There we go. You can kind of see light behind me. It's really just a reflection of the light in my studio.
Yes, your studio. Yes, your studio garage.
Yeah. My studio garage.
So we got to talk about your Daihatsu, because Jarrett Henshaw asks, how did Paul get into Daihatsus and how did he get his?
Yes, we've told the story a few times, but I'll tell him. So I got into them because of Gran Turismo, the wonderful video game for the Sony PlayStation. The very first game did not have Daihatsus in it, but it did have a car that I don't know why I immediately like gravitated towards, and the car was the 1997 Toyota Starlet
Mm.
Galanza. I said that
Oh
wrong.
yes,
I think I've talked about that car a few
yep.
times on the show before, which are legal to import this year.
I I've seen one. There
Oh,
was one for sale on Craigslist. It was actually, it wasn't the V. It was the slower
the
one.
S, the Galanza
Yeah.
S.
Yep.
That's the one without the turbo. Well,
Yes.
regardless, yeah, there it is. Look at that thing. That second picture is actually taken from Gran Turismo.
Yes, there it is.
Um, um, yeah, that's a Gran Turismo photo from Gran Turismo
There you go.
6. Um, yeah, but no. So it was in the very first game, that the Gran Turismo game that came out in 1998 or whatever. So I remember just having such good memories driving around that car. And then the second installment of the game came out like a year later, and there were so many more cars. The first game had like 140 cars, I don't know, and the second one just had
Yeah.
like 1,000. It was so many, and I remember seeing. It was all separated out into like different like areas. Like there was like all the Japanese cars were one area, and then I saw the name Daihatsu there, and I was like, Daihatsu, and I remembered from like, seeing them around when I was a kid, like, oh yeah, I remember that car. It had that weird little skirt thing over it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Gran Turismo game kind of like made me think like, oh, it'd be really cool to get one of those cars one day. It probably wouldn't be hard to find one, but then it turned into a years long search. Like I would. I was actually reminiscing about this with some coworkers the other day. Like one of the simple joys in life, which was like to go to 7-Eleven on, I forget what days, like the new issues came out of Auto Trader, and it
Yeah.
was like the magazine that was like
Sure.
$1, and it like had all the classified ads in it, and it was all, oh, they're
Yep.
wonderful. I mean, everything's online now, so yeah, whatever. But like that was,
Yeah.
believe me, that was one of the coolest things. And I remember always like getting there and getting yelled at by the guy working behind the counter, like, this is not a library, but I'm like looking for like real quick, seeing if there's any Daihatsus. There never was. There never was. So,
Yep.
um, so yeah, so it was the Gran Turismo game really kind of rekindled that, like, oh, I should get one of those things. So I kind of like, as the years went on, looked into like, oh, it would be kind of cool to get one. It would be really cool to get one. And it was just impossible to find them. I think there was one that came up for sale once, and it was far away or something, so I didn't buy
Sure.
it. But I got the reason I got the way I got mine was through CarMax of all places. Like they would buy anything, and I had been working there for about 5 years. It was just about 5 years at the time that one of them was brought in. A customer sold the car to CarMax. They probably got, I'm serious, like $250 for the car,
Wow.
and I had to have it. So it wasn't going to be refurbished by CarMax. It was going to be just sent out to their wholesale lot, and the
Sure.
CarMax would just auction the car off.
Yeah.
But as an employee at CarMax, you were allowed to purchase a couple cars a year for your own, for your own whatever, for yourself. And I had never done it, but that car was there, and I had to have it. And basically, there was a bunch of hoops I had to jump through with CarMax. Not really important, but 600, and I don't know. I've said the price a few times. Like it was like basically between like $650 and $700. I actually don't remember how much it was. I
I think it
paid with
was
the
six
car with my
hundred and $66, wasn't it?
yes, that's what
Yes.
it was. I paid with the car with my debit card. It was
Oh,
hilarious.
that's awesome.
And yeah, and I've spent more money on guitars before,
Yeah.
and than I have for for the Daihatsu. So that's how I got it. I got it from wholesale CarMax when I was working at CarMax in 2015. So I've had it for, God, how many years has it been now? So it's 2022 now. So this will be
Almost
7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
which is gonna one more year after this, which I'm sure will have it, and I will surpass the longest amount of time I've owned a car, because I had my
Really?
Mini Cooper for, yeah, I've had my Mini Cooper. I mean, the Volkswagen Beetle with stand, out that's a whole other thing, but like because
Yeah.
it's owned by the family, but something that I bought.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's either this year or next year. It's going to pass the Mini Cooper for the longest time I've owned a vehicle,
Wow.
and I'm excited for that.
I
So that's how I got the Daihatsu. That's why I love them.
Yeah.
They're silly, and yeah,
You kind of
that's
can't
basically,
get rid of it. You've talked about getting rid of it in the past, but
yeah.
it's like you're sort of synonymous with Daihatsu
I'm
charades. It's your
yeah.
brand, Paul.
It is. It is. It is. Actually, quick side story. My boss sent me a link to and don't ever go on this website and look up something because you're gonna find something and spend money. I thought it was for crafts and stuff, and it is, but on Etsy,
Yes.
he sent
Okay.
me a link, and somebody, I don't know why they were selling it on Etsy. It's not like they handmade it, but it was it's a vintage pin from the late 1980s, early 1990s. It just says Daihatsu Club on it, like there was some sort of a
Nice.
Daihatsu Club. It's like, I don't know, it's minuscule and so tiny, but I was like, yep, that's $14 down the drain, and it's
Yes.
on the way to me right now, and I will be so full of joy and glee when that thing shows up. I don't know what the hell I'm going to put it on, but I have
Sure.
a little piece that says Daihatsu Club.
Nice. Sweet.
So, yes.
All right. So CFH.4523 asks, are you going to sell the GS300? You know, I actually haven't made a video about that in a long time. Sorry, but I actually sold it a while back. I don't know. When was that? It was last year.
It was
Right?
last year.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly when it was, but you're,
It was late summer?
yeah,
Maybe September? I think September sounds
something
right.
like
Maybe
that.
October?
Yeah, I just gave up on that car, and I sold it to Paul's friend, and he's
Yep.
got it running now, right?
Yeah, he has it running. He got it to, well, he got it to run to go through and just clarify the issues that it had, which
Yeah.
were the leaking
Valve seals.
valve seals.
Yes.
So he's he's very busy with his work. I mean, he's the only mechanic. He owns his own business. He's the only guy there,
Yeah.
and so he's got to make time to do everything. And between like some of my other friends having issues with their own vehicles, it's really hard for him to make his own time. So like, I
Yeah.
was at his shop just last weekend, and I was just like, you got to make your time for yourself, because like he really wants to get this thing up and running. Like he's like,
Sure.
you know, so I think it's going to be going in pretty soon to get. He's going to take the head off, and then that's going to get sent out to the machine shop. And then after that, there's really nothing the car needs. There's like that one little issue that was with the door kind of not closing, or not that it
Yeah, it's
wasn't
kind of
closing,
like,
but like the thing.
yes. It
It's
kind
hard
of
to
like,
explain unless you see it.
yeah,
Like
there's,
the
yeah,
trim was.
the top part of the
Explain
trim
it.
sticks out sticks out a little bit, yeah, on the door, so it just
Mhm.
looks a little funny. And I feel like the
Yeah,
the interior just needs like leather conditioner, you know,
yeah. Um, and I think did
and
he
a
do that? He
cleaning.
might have
Yeah.
even he might have even done that, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. I saw the car the other just last weekend, but yeah, that's where your GS went. It's
Yep.
now property
Sitting
of my buddy who's
sitting in
it's
somebody
sitting
else's
in his
lot.
shop,
Yeah. Yes.
sitting in somebody else's lot. But no, he's gonna get it fixed up, and then yeah, he
And then
was.
I'll
I
and then
mean,
I'll
and
buy it
he
back from him.
and then he'll buy it back from after he's fixed it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's you never know. You never know what could happen. So he's yeah, he's a really good mechanic, and he loves these old Toyotas. He himself has a 1985 pickup that
Yeah.
is just a wonderful little truck. It never has broken down. It's great, and he's in the process of hopefully buying from a customer who wants to get their 1981 Be Still My Heart Toyota Starlet
Ooh.
repaired, but it's going to cost a lot of money, so she probably is just going to want to sell the car, and he's going to try to buy it. So
Ah. Okay.
let's hope
I like
we
those old
have a
starlets.
Starlet.
I
Oh,
know.
they're so freaking cool. I love them. So
All
yeah,
right.
so I answered your question.
Yes, because
Yes,
I didn't
so
have any. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with
that's
that
the
car.
update, real quick. The quick
Yeah.
update. Yeah,
Yes.
it's sold to my buddy.
Okay, so Gray F64 asks, any tips on how I can start looking for cars at auctions without a dealer license? So we did an episode on this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not an expert. I've just bought a few cars at online auctions, sight unseen, which is probably the worst way to do it. So that's the only advice that I could provide, is based on doing it the worst way possible, which I know a lot of other people do it this way. So there's a bunch of different sites that you can go to that allow you access to Copart auctions. And the one that I used was called Auto Bidmaster, but there's others that are just like it. And I think I chose that one because the fees were pretty decent and it had a good search functionality. But there you can search through cars. You can see if they have clean titles or not. You can see if they're running and driving or not. They usually offer some pretty decent pictures of the cars. And I will say that they're not, all the descriptions aren't always correct. If you can, they do offer, most car parts allow a day and time that you can go and actually look at the cars. And I don't believe you need a dealer license to do that. So yeah, ideally you would buy locally. Even if you're doing it online, you'd buy locally so you can go look at the car. I never did that, and I was burned a couple of times. So how many cars did I buy at an auction? I bought like 4 or 5. I don't remember. Anyway,
4 or 5 of them, I think.
So the Acura Integra that I bought, which we just talked about at the top of the show, that was listed as a run and drive, and it was not. And maybe it was one run and drive at some point.
Yeah.
So it wasn't when it got to me. So, when you're buying a car sight unseen, you have to be ready for anything. And I didn't pay too much money for that car, and even when I sell it, I'll hopefully maybe break even or still make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like when you're buying a car at auction, it's there's a lot of variables to think about, and like the Ram truck that I bought that for like 12,000 bucks, and that one actually all it needed was a battery, and that was marked as run and drive, and it was it just needed a battery. Actually, a lot of cars at auction that you'll buy at auction will need new batteries because a lot of times they've sat for a really long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the Ford Probe, it was also run and drive, but we all kind of know where that one ended up. That was fun for a while, but luckily that car was only $300. The one thing that I will say is that it's not really like if you're looking to buy a car at an auction and buy cars at auctions and flip them and turn it into a business. If you factor in the fees and shipping you have to pay, you're not going to be profitable. You have to be a dealer, I think, to kind of make money doing it. But if you just want to find, if there's a particular type of car that you've been looking for forever and you find one at an auction, it seems like something you'd want to fix up. It's like, you might be able to find a deal. Because, that $300 Ford Probe, I always talk about it being $300, but in reality, it was $300 plus, the Copart fee, plus the auto bidmaster fee, plus the shipping fee. So in the end, I probably spent, I don't know, $1,800 or something. So it's
right.
Just to get it to me.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I would probably do it again, but I'm just kind of an automotive masochist, so I don't really recommend it.
It's fun to try. Like, I would love to do it, but like, if you want to do it as a business, like, just buy a bunch of V6 Camrys from like 2000s, and you'll be fine. But like, when you start going with the weird and obscure things, like, things can get a little hairy kind of quickly with that. And like you said, you got to factor all that other stuff in, like the shipping fee and all the auction site fees and stuff like that. So, I guess I guess the advice, not that I've done it, but I've seen you do it, is just don't go into it thinking you're going to spend, I'm going to get a $300 car. Because no, the true cost is this. Yeah. Up front, and, maybe the invoice you might show to your significant other is, it's only $300, but that's not necessarily the case. So, but you could get lucky too. Like, the Ram, that was, just in the battery, and
I got lucky there. Yeah. I mean, it was super dirty. I had to get it detailed. That was the only other thing I had to do though. It's, I don't know. I think for some cars, like the Integra, if I looked long enough, I probably could have found another Integra just looking on Craigslist. The amount of money that I've dumped into it, it probably wasn't worth going to an auction. There's a bunch of other cars that I found on auction sites too that seem like a good deal until you factor in all those fees. And if you start looking around Craigslist or OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace, you might be able to just find one that you can drive and running and driving and just drive it away. So I don't know. I would say like that's the reason why I bought the Probe there is because I rarely ever see Probes for sale. Yeah. And it was purple, and it was cheap. The Integra I bought that one because it was low miles. The Ram I bought because I thought I was going to do Turo, and it turns out I definitely do not want to do Turo.
Yeah.
And then the Lexus, that was one of the ones that I also got burned on. So I definitely lost a lot of money on that car. So yeah, I don't know. Don't do it.
That's the advice. Just don't.
Yeah. Unless you can look at the cars first. If you're buying locally and you can
Yeah.
look at them and yeah. All right. So last question of the show is from Daft Ryosuke asks, is there a country you haven't owned a car from, and what car would you own from there? What do you have for this one, Paul?
It's kind of difficult because I've owned a car from all the major countries that
Major automaking
make
countries.
cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the only real thing that I have not owned a Korean car. I have not owned an Australian-made car.
Oh, that's true.
And then
yeah.
I thought about the question, and I was like, a car that I would like to own, it would be fun, and it's from another country. It's from India. It'd be cool to have a Tata Nano.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, it's the silly little car that was like the world's cheapest car for the longest time. That
Yes.
it's look at that little
Oh,
thing.
it's so adorable. And you have to get it in that yellow color.
No, you have to get it in the white with the white the black bumpers.
Oh,
yeah,
that's true.
The primer bumpers or the yellow too. That's fine. Yeah, they have a new Nano. Oh, look, there's one on fire. I mean, come on,
you could have that one.
Well, yeah, I could have that one. It's probably cheap. No, it's really cool. Like, I actually went down like the YouTube rabbit hole about this car a year or two ago, and I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to have one of these things. And it's it's made in India, and it was got this tiny little rear mounted engine. Look at that! Look at that thing.
Yeah.
I think one of the videos I found, I don't know, maybe I'm probably making this up. Maybe it exists or not, but Jason Torchinsky from Jalopnik fame, I think, drove one of these that's owned by the Lane Motor Museum out in Nashville, Tennessee, and I think it was okay. I think it was kind of. It's not something you want to take on the interstate next to a big old American 18-wheeler hauling I don't know, pig poop or something like that. But look at that modified one. That thing, I haven't looked at the.
There's a modified one right there. There's a modified. Oh, geez. Okay, so this is a 230 horsepower Tata Nano.
It's probably got a Hayabusa motor in it. That thing's cool as hell.
It kind of has a sort of Mitsubishi vibe to it. Yeah,
it does.
Yes.
No, yeah, that would be my little thing I would like to own. There's a little truck one. See, it is cool.
Yeah,
like I'd love to. It would be fun. It would be obviously not a daily driver, but it would be be an interesting car to own.
Yeah.
So
all right. So India. Great.
There you go.
I was going. I have to go with France. I've never owned a French car before. I've owned cars from Germany, America, U.S., and Japan. I don't know if I have to go through my list of cars. There's too many, so I don't quite remember.
Right.
I obviously some U.S. cars are not made in the U.S., so I don't know if we're counting that. Like my Malibu was made in Canada. Right. But I would go with the Renault Aventime. We talked about this one in the past.
Yes.
So let's take a look at this one real quick. It's basically a concept car that actually made it into production, as looking like a concept car.
Yes.
It's just
sliding doors.
Yeah, it's just a ridiculous, futuristic, weird French car, and very spacious. I don't know really much about the the drivetrain, but I don't really care just because it's so silly looking. As soon as I can import one of those, I will. And I couldn't just stop with one. So there's that. But I would also really, 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 really want a Citroen BX 16 valve. These I just love the shape.
Yeah,
I love how boxy they are.
Look at that. I've talked about the little French flare or whatever the hell we call it in the Daihatsu world over the rear wheel like that. And
it's a little cover over the rear wheel kind of. Yeah.
God, I just love that. It just.
It just kind of looks like a robot, especially in silver.
Yeah.
It kind of just looks like a sort of weird, like RoboCop car, from the 80s. I would love to try to find one of those too that I could import. I'm a little worried about owning a French car because I know some people with Peugeots that have some issues. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I couldn't leave it at one country. I really think that I would also need a couple Italian cars. I've never owned an Italian car. So I'm going to just go right out and say it. I want to be the first person to import a Fiat Multipla the day that these are available to import to the US. I want to get one of these like immediately, just because they're so weird. And it has to be the refresh. It has to be the one with the kind of
the refresh doesn't look as
no.
The refresh does not. It's just whatever. This is definitely
It's just a cool, it's just a weird, cool. Cool is not the right way to put it. I like the fact that they just tried something so incredibly strange.
Oh yeah,
and just went with it. Even the interior is
crazy on this.
It's ridiculous.
And
the interior doesn't even make any sense. There's nothing about this interior that it just looks like let's just throw some shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Pretty much.
So many different shapes.
It's so cool and it's so endearing because of it. Not endearing. It's daring. Is what it is. This came out around the same time. What year did they make these things again? So
the Fiat Multipla was 98 to 2010. Actually, it looks like it went a little bit further a little bit longer in China.
I love those blob taillights too. I was gonna say because it's like around that. It's got that same shtick to it as like the Aztec, the infamous Pontiac Aztec does, where it's like they really went for it in terms of like, all right, we're gonna do it, and this thing predates the Aztec, I believe. Yeah, I think the Aztec came out like 02, 03 maybe. No, it came out in 2000. It came out in 2000. I remember. But regardless of that, it's always great when I see a car company like do crazy shit like this, where they're like,
yeah,
this is the car we're gonna sell. It just reminds me of like that scene in The Simpsons when Homer makes the Homer when his brother's car company,
Yes.
and that's kind of the same thing. Like, oh gosh, but it's like, yeah, that is what it is. Look at that wonderful thing right there.
And the funny thing about you bringing up the Aztec, it just sort of reminded me a little bit that when they designed the Aztec, they were trying so hard to like appeal to younger people and to try to make it cool and to try to make it feel like it is this like hip happening thing, and it just never resonated with those people. That said, I have grown to like the Aztec, but looking at the Multipla, it just kind of makes me think a little bit more of like I don't think they were trying to make it cool. I think they were trying to make it weird, which is kind of even neater, that they were just like, we don't care if anybody buys. Obviously, they were trying to make it super practical.
It reminds me of like a Tucker, like with it's like it had that weird like the Cyclops eye that was on it, and all these other like weird little features. Like I kind of like it has like it doesn't. I think the design idea and stuff reminds me kind of the Tucker, not the actual like design of the car, but like the idea behind it, like the practicality. We're trying to make this super practical.
Yes.
So, and there's the updated one right there.
Yeah, and they basically
that's not a bad looking car either. It just the little joy of it is gone with its weird little lights.
Yeah, they reacted to everybody saying that it was ugly, and they're like, well, let's kind of just try to do this in the cheapest way possible. So let's get rid of those weird lights and make the front look boring. Definitely, I couldn't have this one. It'd have to be the other one.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then I kind of want a Mondial. That's the only other thing from Italy. I would like that. I'd like one of those. Just send me, if somebody has one of those, just send it my way. I'd like one of those.
There you go.
The quote worst Ferrari.
It's so funny because when we got the questions, I totally thought Europe. I didn't think of country. I was like Europe. Oh yeah, I've had a BMW and I've had the Mini.
You were thinking continents.
I didn't even think I was like, well, I chose the Tata Nano and I'm gonna stick by the Tata Nano. No, you
stick with it. Yeah,
I stick with it.
We came up with our
Renault Clio Williams. We'll throw that in there. I would love one of those, and that's from France.
Sure, there you go.
So I'll stick that in there at the very
Okay.
end. I'll have
Yes,
a Tata Nano next to a Renault Clio William.
All right. There we go. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I would love to hear what other people would want from some of their. I guess it's not really dream cars. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna go out and say it. I'm gonna say a Multipla is a dream car for me. Yes, just a weird kind of like fever dream, but I would definitely still take it. Yeah.
Nah.
So those are awesome questions.
Yes, great questions. Great questions.
Yes.
Great questions. Good times. Q&As are always fun because it's just you never know what you're. It's like Forrest Gump. You never know what you're gonna get. So
nice.
Good times.
So I don't know. I don't know how this new video thing is working out. If you like it, obviously the people that are still listening to the audio version are going to hear us hear us talking about cars that we're looking at. So let us know if you think that's kind of weird or annoying. Or you can also listen. You can also check this out on YouTube. I'm going to be posting this to the YouTube channel that you should subscribe to. And maybe we can consider streaming this to Facebook, which I don't know about that. I'm not really huge fan of Facebook, but we could stream it to Twitter. I don't know. Let's stream it to LinkedIn. That might be a place that people want to watch this, right?
Yeah. There you go. LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That works.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's probably going to be it for us today. Do you want to talk about the potential of a rally real quick? We've been talking about this a little bit.
Yeah.
We've been
Let's
kind
touch
of
on it.
hinting at it for, I don't know, a year at least.
2 years.
Yeah, 3. I don't know. I've been wanting to do one of these for a while. So, we kind of want to do we definitely are going to do a road rally. And I think we're going to hopefully do it later this year, maybe October-ish, something like that. I don't know. We have to kind of throw some dates around.
We do, yeah. That's always kind of been the idea, was around October-ish. So...
Yes. Yeah. So the idea is just, try to make it super fun, try to get a bunch of people together that want to just go on an awesome car adventure around Southern California, stop at some really unique roadside attractions, find a whole bunch of places to just really, really nice destinations. So it'll be just as much about like driving awesome roads as it would be to like actually get out and see some things that hopefully you've never seen before.
Right.
Yeah. So, we'll have some details soon. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know. When do you want to try to announce this thing? Like February 1st? Would that be a good target? Is that too soon?
Yeah.
Let's just get
February 1st.
Yeah.
Just, we've already done 2 podcasts this year. Why not? Why don't we just,
let's make it happen.
Make it happen.
But yeah, if you're interested
we'll send out the save the dates.
Yeah, exactly. So. If that sounds cool to you, let us know. Because I think we're definitely going to try to do maybe we'll even try to do 2 this year. I know it's crazy. We've been talking about it for 3 years and done nothing, but let's do 2 rallies this year.
Let's do it.
And I guess get that Daihatsu all fixed up so we can take it out.
It's going to be ready to go. It's going to be awesome. No cruise control, no armrest, no air conditioning. It's going to be...
You don't need any of that stuff.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
So,
maybe somebody will join us in a 2000 F-250 chassis cab on our rally. It's like, I just bought this thing for $55,000. I want to take it on some rallies.
Cool. Yes. Let's go. Let's put a tray on the back of it, and you can help haul some of the cars that...
Yeah, they can tow like a trailer full of food and snacks for everybody driving. That'd be good.
Be wonderful. Wonderful.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks for listening, everybody. We want to talk about, I don't know. Are you still kind of private on the...
No. I opened the floodgates again. So,
yes, you did. Okay.
Not really. There's not really a flood.
There's not a floodgates of social media activity. Okay.
No, I mean I've been trying to post a little bit more, but it's back open again. So you can follow me at Instagram and Twitter at Paul's Finest Hour.
Nice.
What about you?
YouTube.com/Hello Road, which I'll hopefully post a new video about a car that I just bought soon.
What?
I can't tell you about it now. It's got to be a surprise. Come on, man. I bought another car and I haven't told anybody yet.
There we go.
Yes, because everybody knows I need another car. Twitter, Instagram, Mr. Ethan Tufts. And let's see if this works. I'm going to try to do something with the video. If you are interested in buying some new swag, There we go. Slide in helloroad.tv/shop. You get some t-shirts and Hello Road t-shirts, Hello Road stickers that help support the show and helps us be able to continue to do this kind of crap. So thanks so much for listening, everybody. And we will see you soon. Bye.
Look at that.